My name is Noli and I live here in Hunts Lane in Steeles Creek and I've got 17 acres. After the fires came through, there was a total loss on the property, there was no fences left, everything was burnt. When things started to grow back, the first thing that grew back was all the weeds. Some of the trees have grown back, but there's been a lot of scrappy bush there that I can't get on top of. Well, out here, I still want to keep it largely bush, but I want a lot more cleared areas and I want access back to my creek. Bit of pasture, but largely bush, but manageable, where you can get around, you can walk. If you have to get in there with a tractor or something, you can get in there to do some spraying or clearing, whatever, if the tree's down, so you can get your firewood. I can't do any of that at the moment because, as you can see, it's just a mess. Straight after the fires, of course, I wanted to get back to the property. I'd been away from the property for 12 months. I'm in the shed now, so we're happy there, and now it's just, and got the fencing up, and just now it's slowly looking after the weed. Because as you can see, if you look around, the more weeds that have taken over pasture means less land for me.
Dr. Randall Robinson. I'm from Victoria University in the Ecology and Environmental Management Group. The fireweeds are a major source of regeneration. Their role in the environment is to immediately stabilize the soil. So they get in there, germinate quick. They have shallow root systems, and they actually help to start stabilizing the nutrients and building nutrients in the soil to allow the other plants to take off. This is a fireweed about 2 years after fire. You can see it's starting to look really ratty, and within about 6 months this plant will be completely dead. And we won't see it again, or only a couple of little small ones throughout for the next however long until the next fire comes along. There is a risk in clearing out these fireweeds because they do stabilize the soil. And if they're removed, there's not necessarily anything there to hold the soil together. Their major function, besides stabilizing the soil, is to make sure the fertility of the soil is maintained.
My name's Rob DeBale. I'm the Senior Vegetation Specialist for the North East region for Melbourne Water. The structure, strategy and priority as far as dealing with weeds would be to deal with those which we think to be the biggest threat and those that are the biggest displacement. Things like blackberry on this side in particular will be here to stay. So the species that we know are long-lived and here to stay are the ones to deal with rather than the quick responders that take advantage of space. Okay, so we've got blackberry here and it's shooting back from rootstock. There's a bit of research that went around which said that blackberry post-fire really comes back strongly from the roots, and there's not a lot of blackberry spread around from fruit. So it's about knowing where they are already on your property and then just addressing where you know those issues are. So it's about follow-up for a persistent weed like this, but they're coming back from roots much more so than from fruit spread by either birds or foxes. This is one of the milk thistles. So these are wind dispersed and they really take the gap pretty quickly after an event like fire. But they're going to be background pretty soon because they've got so much grassy competition to deal with. So here's one not to worry about. It'll take a gap, it'll be obvious, but it's a low priority. We're starting to see more of the Indigenous species come back, and in particular some of those Indigenous species that perform that colonising role. So in the background we've got some kangaroo apple. So they're really useful and they're fast growing. They're taking nutrients and they're moving them through the system and adding organic matter. We've also got a lot of bracken coming through, and bracken is useful in this situation. It's a good binder, and it also creates a little bit of cover on the ground. We'll sort of see some of the hilly areas where we've got a lot of acacias coming through. People do view them as being a problem because they come up so densely and they seem to occupy so much space. But we've got to also just sort of take that step back and go, well, what are they contributing to the system here? And once again, it's buffering soil and contributing organic matter, so it's a beneficial thing for the short term. But I guess we just have to be really clear that we're not saying, you know, we're advocating that, that weeds are a beneficial process per se. It's just that short term, they can provide a role in buffering the ground and contributing organic matter. I think a good place to start is just that knowledge and understanding of where particular weed species were on your property to begin with. So doing a bit of a map of where weeds are on your property is really going to help you in then knowing how and where to respond after a disturbance like fire.